After one of the most chaotic races of the season, in the sprint series last week at Michigan International Speedway, Carlos Miller got his first win finally on the season. Today we head up north of the border for the only time all season long, and we are back on the road course for race 20 on the season for the Quebec Grand Prix at Montreal. It is Sprint Series Day in America in Canada. Hello everyone, it's Nathan Saban here, and welcome to Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And it's going to be an interesting race here today for race number 20 on the season. Kind of crazy that after today we only have 11 races remaining in the Herr Sprint Series in 2025, and it's been a fun season. And we'll see on how this one ends up playing out. It's going to be 11 laps on tap, and there will be a pit stop around lap 6 for these drivers, and let's see what ends up happening for that one. And we got a Canada racetrack, and we got a Canada driver. We got the Velvet up here in the booth. Welcome back to the home country of Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Yeah, this is my local racetrack. I'm pleased to be here tonight. It's gonna be a fun one here.
Definitely gonna be a interesting one to say the least, and don't think it'll be anything like Michigan, but it could be for all we know. But this can be a interesting racetrack. Track position will probably be important. So how do you think this one's gonna shake out for 11 laps?
Well, I think it's gonna be a first of all, it's gonna be a race that's tough on the drivers. If you make a single mistake, considering this is a partially street course, a semi-urban, you'll end up in the wall and you'll damage your car and lose a bunch of positions. And also that will be interesting because this racetrack is a bit of a weird dynamic where the for the first section of the racetrack with the first second corner and the first chicane, the outside can actually work quite well and is, especially on the race start, is faster usually than the inside lane. That gives a bit of an interesting racing here, and something I don't usually see at road courses.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique racetrack. Got a lot of chicanes, got a hairpin, of course the last chicane, the wall of champions, and we'll see what ends up happening. Of course we'll have a pit stop, and it will be a center pit stop, kind of like an IMSA pit stop if you want to think of it like that, or a WEC endurance racing pit stop, but that will be very interesting, and most likely the first lap will be a little bit chaotic. But let's go ahead and see and introduce these drivers here tonight. And on the pole, it is the number 87 of Stella Arcadia in the second start in the row and set the fastest lap at Michigan. And alongside is number 96 of Trey Smith. Well, number 2 is the number 3 of Joshua Neely, and the number 93 of Dylan Sandeven, and then the 37 of Aaron Abel, and the number 02 of Sammy Camara, the 99 of Corey Case, and the last 6 runner of Carlos Miller, and the 82. B.B. Ruiz is right in front of the point leader of Alexander Rowe, B.B. Ruiz in the 57, and then the 05 of Charles Bowen, Alexander Rowe in the 13 here tonight, and then the 59 of Nathan Adjeboye, the 69 of Matt Black, and the 97 of Zane Davison, the number 90 of Matthew Hall, and the 50 of Chase McClure, the number 88 of David Ditson, and the 81 of J.R. Wibbleton, the number 98 of Hallie Anson Jr., who took a heck of a hit into that sidewall at Michigan last week, and the 39 of Campbell Mosh. And then running out the field in the number 52, we got Garrett Zendoska back in the field. And then the first starts on the scene here tonight, Mark Richardson in the number 1, the 64 of Emily York Watson, and the number 4 of Skylar Taylor. We're going to go ahead and get these rollers rolling off since this is a little bit of a longer pace lap here on the road course of Montreal, and like it's been majority of the season, Alexander has been the dominant driver has a 25-point lead, is shrinking a little bit here late in the season. And BP Ruiz is in second, and Abel is in third, minus 33. Haley Anderson Jr. in fourth, minus 49. Matt Black in fifth, minus 51. J.O. Littleton in sixth, minus 53. Carson Miller in seventh with that win. He moved up four positions in the point standings and could have a shot, minus 66. Trace McClure in eighth, minus 73. Andrew Williams in ninth, minus 74. Not in the field, unfortunately, he is tonight for the first time this season. And then Sammy Camino rounds out the top 10, 76 points behind. This is an interesting road course to Dover, and I'm going to pass it on to you. Who do you think will win here for the Quebec Grand Prix?
I'm gonna pick the 93 of Dylan Stendiven starting fourth here. I think he has a good opportunity at jumping third on the start, Joshua Neely, and then maybe have a bit of strategy to overtake Trey Smith and Stella Cradia. It's not impossible to overtake around here as well in terms of on-track overtake, so that could happen as well. And I mean, I think it'd be nice to have the Canadian team, and I think the only Canadian team in the well, no, there's mine. One of two Canadian teams in the field, winning here.
That would be a cool story to see a home country team get the race win. And we'll see what ends up happening with the crazy start, because like I said, there are some crazy chicanes, and well, this track is full of chicanes, but there's some of them that are trickier than others, and of course the tight hairpin, and then that long back stretch into the wall of champion chicane, and we'll see what ends up happening here today. And it's kind of crazy that after today we only have 11 races to go in the season, and it's been a fun season, but we'll see on if we have a new winner here today, like we did last week at Michigan, of Carson Miller. Troy Smith, he's starting to get better in the second half of the season. And of course, second start on the year for Stella Arcadia. Probably the best starting position to have on the pole. And we'll see if things get chaotic, maybe someone can steal it in the back half of the top 10. But on the long back stretch, and about to go onto the Wall of Champions, and we are almost time to get started for race 20 on the season. And we'll see what ends up happening. 11 laps on tap, pit stops around lap 6, around halfway, and could have a very chaotic lap number 1, and that's definitely turn 1 could be the prime passing opportunity early on. Pace car is onto pit road, and that will lead the field into the hands of Stella Arcadia and Trey Smith. The Quebec Grand Prix at Montreal, race 20 on the season, is Sprint Series Night in America in Canada. A little bit of 3 wide and a little bit of 2 wide, and right here is going to be one of the tricky chicanes. It looks like they are going to keep it straight throughout the entire field, double wide, all throughout the field. And how about the start from Trey Smith and Joshua Neely maintaining the ground, Carson Miller all the way inside the top 5 here on lap number 1.
And that was a good clean start from these drivers, no real contact. And now the goal is just to for the leaders to pull ahead as much as possible before starting to fight, because if you get as somebody went wide here, that is the 82 of Carson Miller going wide. And see, that's what you need to not do here. There's a bunch of grass, there's walls, so if you slip wide to a corner, you can go hit a wall, damage your car. Even if you go cut a corner here, you'll just catch the grass and lose a bunch of time. So it's interesting here, and early on, this doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of side by side battle after the first lap.
It's gonna be a easy lap one led for Stella Arcadia, and there was some side by side battling, and we're gonna see these guys attempting that, and Cosmilla might have a 1 on the 93 of Joshua Neely, not Joshua Neely, that is Dylan Stanley even, but not quite, and we'll see if what ends up happening. He goes a little bit wide off turn 2, and Travis is just gonna be a fairly important here today. Joshua Neely closing in on Trey Smith, but that 87 won the pole by setting the fastest lap at Michigan. That could play a fairly pivotal role here in this one, I think. The 99 got into the outside wall, and they are wrecking in the back. That's the 90 of Matthew Hall into the gull rail, and a destroy front end for Matthew Hall.
Man, and that's tough. That's tough. A lot of these cars seem to be very loose right now, and that's something that we have long pit stops. They have time to do a lot of adjustments, and that's what they're gonna try to fix
Oh,
during those. Oh wow, that is not what you need to do, especially riding that curb here. That will make you lose a bunch of time. Almost took care for the 93, and now it's gonna be side by side through the corner. The 92, the 82, going to the inside, but just not able to brake late enough for an overtake.
it might be hard to pass, but it's easy to make mistakes here, and we've seen a bunch of them already 2 laps into this one. But Stella is doing a good job out front, but it is a hornet's nest all behind him for second on bat. The 96 of Trey Smith currently in the second spot. Going through the wall, champions, they're getting sideways, Carson Miller again. And like you said, Ladova, these drivers are very, very loose right now on this racetrack. And 2 laps in, and it is still the 87. And we gotta watch out. These curves are big, and we've seen mistakes already. And unfortunately, a tough one for Matthew Hall. Has won multiple times this season, 3 I believe, but besides that, it's been a rough stretch. And we might end up seeing some battles within the top 5, but so far it's all the 87 at the moment.
And it's interesting. The top 2 seem to not be really making a lot of mistakes, but after that, 93 keeps cutting corners in a not so efficient way, and the 3 and 82 are both really just going wide in corners. So it's interesting to see. The driver is kind of making the same kind of mistakes lap after lap. They'll learn as the race goes on. They haven't had a lot of experience at this racetrack for most of them. This is likely their first or second time here. And so they'll learn, and the mistakes we see on the early laps will not necessarily be made on the later laps, and we'll get more of a straightforward race. But right now, it is still close between the third and basically the rest of the field. As I think that's an overtake here. But the 50 getting a great run of the corner on the outside, and that's really the benefit here at the airpin. That's what makes overtaking very difficult around that section of the racetrack, as they went. I don't know why they did that, but
Oh,
oh.
the 99. Corey Case going down pit road. I don't know if he has a problem or if he was involved in a wreck early on. And I don't think he's going to be able to make it on fuel from here. So that's going to be a tough break there from Corey Case. And tell you what, Troy Smith is not really losing track of the 87. And everyone behind Troy Smith are keeping tabs on. So if things stay clean for these front runners, it could be a tight battle for the rest of this race.
Yeah, Trey Smith needs to do no mistakes right now, because if he does any kind of mistake, he'll get overtaken. He's just not necessarily at the same pace as the guys behind him. It's kind of interesting because we're watching a lot of this battle for the race lead, as though there goes the 3 wide again. And that's gonna give an opportunity for the 93 of making an overtake. He won't. But if that continues, because again, it's the same cars making the mistakes. It's kind of like they're maybe pushing a bit too hard. And that's very interesting. But again, they need to be careful, because what we're seeing here is that lead battle, because that's what's interesting, so that's what we're watching. But at the back, they're probably fighting even harder than they're fighting at the front, because they have nothing to lose, and that's where you get damaged cars, and that's where you get spinners, and that's where you get people who are going to be pretty off the pace. And I mean, that might end up having a consequences, as here the 90 is already almost a lap back. That's interesting.
Yeah, almost a lap down. Got into the guardrail early on lap 2, I believe, and that might be a factor. I don't really know how lap traffic will be a factor here at Montreal, and I don't know how they would really get past me, but this is very
Well,
interesting. It's all very
what
tight.
what would make it what would make it a factor is with delayed strategies, because if they come in fix their damage, which I think is what the that car that I don't remember the number of that came in the pits did. Well, that's going to be a delayed strategy, and then when those drivers who are racing for the race lead come in, change their tires, they're going to be with one car that is significantly slower, because they're on a slower tire and they have damage as well, which is what could be interesting. But that's not necessarily a battle for the race late that's going to be affected by this. It's more for the midfield, as
Whew.
that was a dive, but just no place to go here, and that's a pattern we're starting to see.
Yeah, Corey Case was the driver that went down pit road a couple laps ago, and I don't think he's going to be able to make it. But this 90 is definitely off the pace, and we'll see if anyone decides to pit this time by. And no, not for the leaders at least. I think it should be around lap 6, lap 7 for most of the field. And it looks like that is going to be the case. No one is going down pit road, and this is going to get interesting. The slow car of Matthew Hall is going to be in the way. Wife one of Stella Arcadia, who has dominated this one here in the Quebec Grand Prix.
And they need they need to be careful overtaking him, because if they do it badly, they can hit the wall, and then it's over. So
Like that.
oh wow, yeah, exactly like that.
Well,
And that's gonna be at least one position loss, maybe two, for the three of Joshua Neely.
and that is what the race lead has to be very careful of with this lap car and or the slow car. And look at Trey Smith really closing in fast, gonna try and make a pass here, entering another chicane. This could be very sketchy for our race leader, and it's not gonna work out. Still side by side, Trey Smith might be in position to make a move, doesn't know where to go, and the number 96 gonna get clear, and he might make a dive bomb entering the hairpin. Not quite.
And he doesn't, but keep in mind they're coming in this lap or next lap. I think more likely a bit this lap. So I mean, at this point, they you don't want to risk anything, and because if you're side by side coming into the pit lane, that doesn't work out, and that you're just putting you're just compromising your exit to the airpin. And if something were to happen, there you go, as everyone goes into pits. Not everyone goes into. Okay, no, that's Matthew Hall who
But yeah,
who had
everyone
damage to
else.
fix and came in already.
But yeah, besides the 90, everyone else is gonna go down pit road, and now this is gonna be interesting. The pit stop around halfway. It's been a very tight field so far up front, and there's been a lot of mistakes, and this is gonna be interesting for the extended pit stop. Gonna be able to change tires, fill up a fuel, and make as many adjustments as they need to possibly win this race.
And also, interestingly enough, I think I saw Baby Ruiz getting a bit of damage coming into the pit lane, maybe hitting somebody, and that could be very major. We haven't really looked at where Ruiz and Rowe are in terms of that battle, but yes, I at least I saw some kind of a yellow debris coming in from, well, in the kind that NR has. So it's either him or the other yellow car in the field. There's two of them.
Oh,
Oh wow!
great stuff from Carson Miller. Gonna take the race lead, and he might go 2 in a row here today.
And That's going to be very interesting. Arcadia did not have a good stop at all and might be under threat of losing more positions. A 96, goodness. Had a terrible pit stop as well. And I
And
think we might have had some people fixing damage or, you know, making adjustments and some people not making adjustments. And that might have had a factor to play into this new order that we have, which is kind of Baby Ruiz is up there.
yeah, I definitely think some people will make adjustments and some won't. And I think we'll point out damage. Joshua Neely, we saw smack the wall really hard, and he was on pit road for a really long time. So that's a separate for him. And how about Triad? Both cars are going to be inside the top 6 now. And we gotta pay attention to the number 99 of Corey Case. I don't know if he will be the leader or not, but he is doing off strategy. But right now, how about that from Carson Miller? Didn't win all season until Michigan in dominating fashion at 15 out of the 20 laps. And was running top 5, top 6 all day and might be able to steal this one here. But did he not do any adjustments? That's what I'm kind of thinking. Did he not do any adjustments? Because the A7 has been really fast, but we only have 4 laps to go at the line this time by.
Yeah, and I mean you can visually see it. The 87 is closing in on that 82, so it's gonna be interesting to see what will happen here. Miller has a good gap to second place, which is the encouraging part for him. 2 seconds. That's gonna be hard to make in 2 laps, but this is a road course and it is a quick one. So if you make a mistake in one corner, here's an overtake for 10th, I think, or no, that's 9th. That's for 9th place here. The 39 of Campbell Marsh making the pass on the 37 of Aaron Abel, and
boy.
that was not a good corner. And there we go. That's gonna be a pass again for the 37.
And now the 93 and the 96 are going after it. There's definitely battles all over the place here, and this is actually better than what I was expecting. I had low expectations for this race, and probably a good thing I did, because this has been, honestly, a lot better than expected. I'm looking for the 13 of Alexander Lowe as the 81 just spun, and Alexander Lowe, another bad race for him, is all the way in 21st, and meanwhile BP Ruiz is inside the top 10, and actually inside the top 5.
They're going all over the place back there, and they need to be careful because, you know, if a car spins in one of the tighter section, it blocks the track effectively, and that means that everybody's just gotta bunched up, and you know everybody gets damaged really because they all break on each other. So that's why they need to avoid being side by side like that. But that's what you're seeing. With that, different cars with different pace, and that might be what we are gonna see for these positions closer to the lead here. Not a lot of time gained this time though by Arcadia, and that's not gonna be a great sign here as we have 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I thought Arcadia made more ground than what they did, and that might be where we see 2 wins in a row for Carson Miller. But you have to be very careful to not get into the outside wall right there. And I will just say, for all the chaos that we've seen here today, will be in the corner of the screen. But the 87 with a dive bomb did gain some time, but the 02 of Camaro really gained. And it's going to be close if 87 can get there. Still, what a debut and what a second race for the 87. Started last week at Michigan, got a top 15, got the fastest lap, and because of that, started on pole, led the majority of the first half, and is still in contention if things go haywire. 02 of Camaro went wide and got into the grass a little bit right there. But it's going to be 2 laps to go, and I think it's going to come down to Carson Miller and Stella Arcadia.
The trouble point here seems to be the first chicane. The second and third chicanes are more easily you can more easily avoid the wall at least. You know, you have a bit of grass on the second chicane, and the third chicane just they don't really go side by there and don't really push it that much, just because it's slightly a tighter radius than the other 2. so it's very much the first chicane. That's the issue here. But at this point, ooh, and they're still quite feisty, especially at the back of the field. And as a car was making a pit stop
Yeah,
there, yeah,
that's the
that's
number
the 90.
90. Yep.
That's the 90 making their final pit stop.
I will say, the 87 did gain 3 tenths last time by. It's not a lot, but the 87 is definitely closing in on Carson Miller now, and that's the thing for Carson Miller, has that buffer, and didn't get a good
Well,
chicane right there for the 87.
the thing is, Arcadia needs to be by Carson Miller's really bumper on basically basically after turn one is because the last real opportunity at overtaking would be those kind of two corners that are not really chicane, but a bit faster than the chicane after the first chicane. Those two corners are really the last place you can really overtake, because after that you get here, and if you go wide and you manage to get side by side after here, you get to the airpin, and you can't really overtake at the airpin. So it's gonna be very difficult for Arcadia to win to them today. But still a good battle, especially for fourth onward, as I think there was I think there was an attempt at going side by side that definitely didn't work out for the 69 of Mad Black.
Good points saved from BB Ruiz and Matt Black, especially with Alexander Rowe having another tough race here, and I think we saw that last year out of Alexander Rowe, and we might be seeing that same thing. The 99 and the 90 are both on pit road, and Carson Miller gained a ton last time by. The final lap on a honestly better than expected Montreal race here for the Sprint Series. Gonna be a double top 6-1 from Twilight Racing. They've definitely struggled here in the Sprint Series, and good one from them. And good ones for a lot of these drivers that definitely needed it. And look at the backup part of the field once again. The 13 is just now starting the final lap, and it's only in 21st still. So once again, 2 rough races in a row for our point leader of Alexander Rowe. But for 2 races in a row, Carson Miller looks like he's gonna steal this one here today. Not really in dominating fashion, but had a faster pit stop. And he should be able to hang on and get the race win.
Yes, and I think that's going to be something we're going to... Well, all the Wallow Cup Series team will take note of, and we might see more people doing the quickest stop possible tomorrow. If if the conditions are the same. I don't exactly know what the wear is in the Cup Series in comparison to the Sprint Series in terms of pit stops, but yes, it's gonna be interesting. Carson Miller, congratulations to him. That was a great one here, and a great strategy call for Herr Motorsports.
Absolutely gonna be back race wins for Carson Miller. Gonna swing it sideways off the final turn. And the Michigan winner's gonna win again. Montreal winner 2 in a row for Carson Miller. And he went up 4 positions and points after last week's win. And he might gain a few more. So you know what? It's been a very tight championship battle all season for the Husband Series, and if he keeps this up, we might have a new contender step into the battle here for this championship. Big points day for BP Ruiz, Aaron Abel, and even Hallie Anson Jr. finishing a little bit ahead of Alexander Rowe. And then J.R. Wibbleton also finished a little bit ahead. Only by 1 spot, but Matt Black, BP Ruiz, and Cosimo especially, and Sammy Camara, great ones from them. And we only have 11 races to go in Ludovic. I think the championship battle might get a little bit spicy in the final 11 races on the season.
Yes, those are definitely counter performances from Alexander Rowe, and I mean if it continues that way, we might get an actual fight for the championship lead in, well, next time by, because Baby Roo is gonna gain what, 10 points, 15 points?
A lot of points. Yeah.
Yes, that's gonna be a very close gap, and that could be a gap next race that BB Ruiz overtakes if Alexander has another counter performance, and it's gonna be very fascinating to see if maybe those were just two odd results. Sometimes those happen, especially in the equal rating series, or if it really is a trend that becomes more apparent as the season goes on. He might just lose a bit of his speed as the season goes on, and it's not the first time we would have seen that from Alexander Rose, so it wouldn't even really be that much of a surprise.
Yeah, he won at Nashville a couple of weeks ago, but ever since then, poor result at Michigan and another poor result here today. But you know, it's not a poor result the last 2 weeks, and that is Carlos Miller back-to-back wins. And I think guys like BP Ruiz and Abel, Howlands and Jim Applat, and Carlos Miller could join into the fight for this championship battle. But that was a fun one here today at Montreal. Definitely better than I initially anticipated. And like I said, I had low expectations for never doing this track before. So that was a fun one here. Great one from Stella Arcadia, still on pole, and gets second in the second still on feed channel, I believe. Sammy McMahon in third, BP Ruiz in fourth, Matt Black in fifth, Charles Bowen in sixth, Dylan Stanley even in seventh, Dre Smith from second to eighth. He had a slow pit stop, and then Aaron Abel in ninth. And then how about Mark Richardson third, way deep in the field, and I believe 21st, and he comes home in a top 10 spot. So great one from a driver that's outside the top 20. McClure, Marsh, Algebra, another driver that started in the bet, Emily York Watson and Skylar Taylor, both inside the top 15. So it was definitely easy to pass in the mid to back part of the field, especially. And tough days for Corey Case, Matthew Hall, and J.R. Wimbledon spun around as well. You guys saw all the chaos here, but what's the final thoughts from that one to dove in? What do you think we might see in the World Cup Series race here this weekend?
Well, my final thoughts about this is this might be a turning point for the championship. We've seen some trends really setting those past few races that are basically opposite to what we've seen over the rest of the season. And hey, it might be a BB Ruiz, Alexander Rowe, and Carson Miller battle for the championship if that continues that way. Because Carson Miller is coming fast for the race leader. He's very very close to that. Well, if he continues this pace, he'll be very close to them after a few races. So yes, we might have a completely different championship in a few races than we have right now. And for tomorrow, I don't quite know what to expect. Actually, it's gonna be an interesting one. Definitely. As we can see, it's a bit of road courses are already kind of weird races because you don't necessarily get all the front runners running well, and especially around here, this is quite a chaotic road course, so you do tend to get a bit of some odd results. And but yeah, maybe it's gonna be a great one. We'll see. If it's anything like this race, it's gonna be a great one. So tune in tomorrow, I believe, or the day after. I don't know exactly when this goes up, but yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and Montreal definitely blew my expectations out of the water, and I'm excited for the World Cup Series race, I believe, in a couple of days from now, and we'll see what happens with this championship. 11 races to go. It's been a really tight championship for most of the season. Alexander will pull the way down the May part of the schedule, but June has not been too hot for him so far, and we'll see what ends up happening. Next week we will be at Pocono Raceway for the Tricky Triangle, well, at the Tricky Triangle, and we'll see what happens there. That one might be a wild one, as it has been all season long. Congratulations to Carlos Miller on his second win of the season and second in a row. Science for Pocono will be happening fairly shortly here, and stay tuned for that one. Thank you for joining me up here in the booth for this one, and until Pocono, we will see you all next time for the Herr Sprint Series.